Leo, Mr. Know-It-All, says, lovely day. Buzznut 721. We got Frank, Gin Rummy, Nuke Worker, Oaktown 77. Nuke Worker saying heavy rain in Washington today, snow in Denver. What a great group. Gerald Jones, Gio Mercedes, Christian Rivas, Big Drew liking Buffalo -10. And there is Ron Walsek. Low baggers unite in victory. I love that so much. Unite in victory. Dennis Garcia thrilled. Penn State, lost yesterday. Boy, are they dumb. It was an ugly game. I went 8-8 in NCAA football. These 2 days, I had so much invested in these 2 days. And yesterday was a roller coaster ride. I ended up profit on the day just because I went 2-0 in MLB. But 8-8, not worth the price. Not worth the horrific highs and lows I felt yesterday. Ostino Ligid, Adam Lastman, Underboys with 49ers. Elio ready to go. All right, it is time to get to work. Johnny Z, Bills, Packers, Cowboys. Bill McHugh, let's get it, Jimmy. Looking at Bills, Chiefs, and the over in Tampa Bay Raiders. We have a lot of work to do. There's Danny Lopez, Callum Knight, Mr. Fun Monk, Matthew Edwards, AJ S. Birdie ready to go. And I got to look at Birdie's action. Birdie's got a good-looking card. Birdie, also very interesting, is on the Jaguars, which really scares me. Really scares me because I've gone pretty big on the Chargers. William Barry says, new to the show, Jimmy, you're killing baseball. Thanks, man. My absolute pleasure. It has not been a glorious year in baseball, but 9 out of my last 10, 9-1, 6-1 in the World Series. Christian Rivas says, Bebsy, I need them locks. All right, let's go over our action and see if anything Bebsy's very confident in, anything he's a little nervous with. Okay, this is what Bebsy locked in on Tuesday. Matthew Edwards says, Bebsy is the man. Bebsy, you're on the Atlanta Falcons first half -0.5. You're on the Browns -3. The Steelers -2. That market has gone away from you. Titans are now favored. Buffalo first half -6.5. That's heavily juiced. -130. At that point, we thought Flacco might still be starting. You have a double up on the Packers. Green Bay first half -2.5, full game or -2.5, full game -3.5. You have the Seahawks -3.5. So do I. We could have got a better line. You have the Patriots -2.5. The Chargers first half -4. Is there anything you're nervous about? Is there anything you're even more bullish on?
I think I'm even more bullish on the Niners losing today. Just the fact that I said that line would move if Trent Williams got hurt. He didn't get hurt, but Jimmy Ward got hurt. So Jimmy Ward's out. Jaquiski Tartt's out. Their whole secondary. They have 8 of 11 starters from week 1 on defense missing, on IR or out. That is just a brutal spot for them to travel across the country. Playing Bill Belichick at Foxborough, coming off a loss. I love that play. I still really love Atlanta first half -0.5. That is hilarious to me. The Steelers game, the fact that it moved in favor now of Tennessee, I hate that because I could have got a better line, but I'm still confident in that pick.
I like it. Nice breakdown. James Lewis says, would you pick Green Bay Texans under 56? I'm actually on the over 56.5, and it's a spot that I'm not extremely confident in, James. Not extremely confident in. This is my action. I doubled up on the Falcons, first half -0.5, full game -2.5. Trufant is out. So I was partially hoping that would be the case. We talked about what Cole did to that Lions secondary. We talked about that on Tuesday, what he did to the secondary last week. And we have a Julio Jones who says, I feel great. I feel great. I can't wait to get out on the field. I have the Panthers, New Orleans over 51. I'm uncomfortable with that. I decided not to cut it out by taking the under. There could have been what Maxwell Smart calls a Polish middle where I would have lost both, so I just didn't bother there. I'm on the Green Bay Packers first half -2.5. I'm not bullish on that. I'm on Seattle -3.5. I wish I had got the 3. But let's go into stuff that I do like. KC, Denver under 48, very comfortable there. Patriots -2.5, very comfortable. Niners, New England under 44.5, very comfortable. Little nervous with my Chargers spots, but I do really like them off the bye. The only reason why I'm nervous, let me be honest, the Chargers have a ton of injuries. They have 3 more defensive starters out. It's just because Birdie's on the other side. Maybe it's a little much for a Chargers team and a young quarterback to be this big a favorite. I'm also on the under 49 in that spot. Then I took Bears, Rams under 45, and the Bears team total under 19.5. All righty, let's get to work right now. Shane Schwader says Panthers cover +7 all day today. I was my only addition that I've made. All right, Bebsy, let's start in, my man. Happy Sunday to everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is an extremely enjoyable show, and it helps that Bebsy's destroying NFL, sitting at 23-9. All righty, let's go. We're going to start with Lions-Falcons. So this is a double-up spot for me. First half -0.5, full game -2.5. And Bebsy took Atlanta first half. Right now, if you wanted to get in, you could get a better number than we got. That's down to -1.5 and -1 for full game. And that first half, now at the -0.5, you get plus money. So late money coming in on the Lions, and it makes me uncomfortable. Let me see if I can make that facts by looking at where the tickets are going. Yeah, so 56% of the cash is on the Lions, 56% of the tickets on the Falcons, which means some big money bets have come in on the Lions. Makes me nervous. This over is being bet heavy. The money's coming in on the over here. All right, let's talk about it. Both teams have a chance to start winning streaks. Coming off a bye week, the Lions destroyed Jacksonville 34-16. They haven't had a winning streak since weeks 2 and 3 of the 2019 season. DeAndre Swift has taken that starting running back spot from Adrian Peterson, 116 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Jags. The Lions held Jacksonville to 44 yards on the ground. Kenny Golladay stepping up in a big way. We talked about Keelan Cole cashing the secondary, and safety Miles Killebrew and cornerback Desmond Trufant are out. Now we go to this Falcons side of things. They responded to the firing of Dan Quinn. Very impressive 40-23 victory. Raheem Norris said the guys are adopting the 1-0 mentality. Everybody's saying it in the locker room. We're 1-0. We're 1-0. Focus on solely that. They had gone 30 consecutive possessions without a touchdown pass. Ryan goes 30 of 40 for 371 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Gurley runs for 121 yards. Looks like the old Gurley. Tack McKinley is – they're hoping that he's going to be playing. I'm hoping he's going to be playing. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley are both good to go. And Dante Fowler ready to go. All right, take it away, Bebsy. What do you think of the market moving towards Detroit?
Look, I can't get too excited about Detroit beating up on Jacksonville. We know Jacksonville's a bad team. We know Jacksonville's an injured bad team. Why would you get excited about Detroit? Nothing has changed there other than the fact that they beat Jacksonville. Who cares? At least there's some movement in Atlanta. At least they're getting some players back. They've gotten rid of Dan Quinn. Yeah, sometimes that's what it can take, is getting rid of a coach. The noise in the locker room saying we're 1-0. Just getting in the right mentality. I don't know if you're going to have that over in Detroit. Detroit's sitting there being like, well, we beat Jacksonville. That's pretty cool. But beyond that, I don't see a ton of excitement. I like that Swift is getting more touches. I don't know how much it's worth doing that. I mean, they're not going to win anything. He looks like he could be a running back of the future. I would probably still very much split their carries, but that's just me. I would like to preserve the young running back. I don't like Detroit. If anything, I've gotten more bullish on this play towards the Falcons this week.
I love hearing that. And interestingly enough, with all this money and all this tickets on the over, it's dropped a point from 56.5 to 55.5. So Shane Schwader says, one thing thinks Stanford's first time since college playing in Atlanta. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned. So Bebsy, so Birdie says Bebsy Lions had leads in 7 games, won 1. There is talent there. Atlanta, new coach, and they have talent there. Both teams are better than their records. I agree with that. There's Ski Profit in the house. Lee Federchak, Atlanta first half and full game. There's Jordy Nordman joining us as well. Del Toledo. We have a great group. A great group. Brady says, I applaud your balls for putting money on either team, lads. No play for me. Just need to see it one more week, but could be good bets moving forward. And
I get ripped for being conservative. Come on.
Okay. All right, let's go. So that's a big spot for Bebsy and I today. We are on the Falcons, and clearly there's big bets coming in on the Lions. We'll see what happens.
The only thing that makes me nervous about this is every single time both you and I are excited about the Falcons, they shit the bed. So
yes, but that was with Dan Quinn at the helm, right?
What's that?
That was with Dan Quinn at the helm. We have Raheem the Dream.
It's a new regime with Raheem the Dream.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Browns, Bengals, and maybe I should have trusted the Browns bounce back because Bebsy did. I have not moved on it. Now we know that Mixon is not going to be in the lineup. 49 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 8 miles per hour in Cincy. The threes, Bebsy got a -3 and -115. There was even a 2.5 available at a point earlier in the week. It's now back to 3.5. Probably the noise on Mixon. This total opening up at 51.5 is now at 50.5. 4-2 Browns. Browns were pummeled 38-7 at Pittsburgh. Just 75 yards on the ground, 113 below its season average. Mayfield looked terrible. Now, we go back to that first week. Browns rushed for 215 yards against the Bengals. Kareem Hunt could be in for a big, big day. Myles Garrett is rolling, and the Browns got healthier. Safety Ronnie Harrison back. Carl Joseph back. So they have two safeties back in action. Then we have this Bengals team that blew that 21-0 second quarter lead and lost to the Colts. T. Higgins is emerging as a giant weapon. 127 yards against the Colts. A.J. Green looked like his old self, but Mixon out. Giovanni Bernard going to get the start. They have defensive tackle Mike Daniels back. They have Carlos Dunlap yapping in the media about not getting enough playing time. Him and Geno Atkins are both frustrated. And then we have Burrow. He attempted 61 passes. Week 2 against Cleveland. I said opening week. Week 2 against Cleveland. Attempted 61 passes. And Tyler Boyd, 27 catches for first downs, 4th best in the league. I'm imagining that you're sitting there pretty pleased that you got the -3.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had some offline arguments with some of my friends this week about taking the Browns. And I said, simply put, the Browns are a better football team top to bottom than their opponent this week. They're getting some pieces back. The Mayfield thing doesn't concern me that much. Case Keenum has proved he can move the ball in Stefanski's offense. If Keenum comes in, if anything, I'm more confident if Keenum comes into this game. Apparently, Mayfield's ribs are better. I think that's the least of anyone's concerns. I really just like the Browns to roll in this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to take it at 3.5. I'm not just going to jump onto it late. The Browns are getting a ton of the action, 79% of the cash, 79% of the tickets. I think you made a nice bet on Tuesday. I hope that you were rewarded for it. Del Toledo took the Bengals at +3.5. And I'm not going to make a move late here. I'm not going to make a move late. Nuke Worker on Bengals money line says they are better since the team's met in week 2. Nilo talking about a first half move. What do you think about this total, Bebsy? Dropped a point to 50.5, and the weather's fine in Cincy, 49 Fahrenheit, 8 miles per hour wind. What do you think of this total?
If anything, I'm on the over in this. I think both teams are capable of putting up points. I'm not too excited about the play because unless Cleveland comes out and really smashes them, I don't see the Bengals running with them the whole game. So it really depends. If it's a slow burn and the Browns just keep slowly putting up points and getting further and further away, then I just don't see the Bengals putting up much of a fight. So that worries me to the under. But you put a gun to my head, I'm taking the over in it.
And this is one of those situations where the over's taking the cash, the over's taking the tickets, and yet it's dropped a point. It's dropped a point. And also Joe Yurkovich on the over 50.5. Anytime you can be on the same side as Joe Yurkovich, you're going to hit a lot. Black Road giving a final score of 31-14 Browns. Wow. Okay. I have enough action, so there's no need for me to reach, but I can understand. I can understand you being very comfortable with your 3. And I can understand the look towards the over. Chicago 23 says, I think Cleveland puts the weight on the Bengals. Joe Yurkovich says Bengals will pass a lot. Browns will have success either run or pass. And Christian Rivas on the other side here towards the under. Okay, let's keep rolling. Rob T says, what do you guys think of Kareem Hunt receiving yards prop? Can see it at 19.5. I'd have to study more of what he's been doing through the air. I don't have that information in front of me, so I don't want to give you a analysis that's not thought out and studied. But I did see the prop thought about for the Giovanni Bernard over 15.5. That's one of those props that you'll know whether you're going to hit or not immediately. After the first drive, you'll be like, oh, I'm in for it. Or after the first drive, you'll be like, this doesn't look good. What do you think of either a Giovanni Bernard prop, Bebsy, or a Kareem Hunt receiving out of the backfield?
I'm kind of of the same mind as you in that I don't know if I could give an accurate guess other than the fact that Stefanski likes to use his running backs out of the backfield catching the ball, and that Kareem Hunt, especially from his days with the Chiefs, that he's very adept at catching the ball out of the backfield. So, I can see why you would want that. But I'm not terribly into it. The Gio Bernard thing is a little more exciting just because, as Darren Thompson just said, Bernard's no slouch. He's a good football player. So, if anything, I would like that prop more because I have a better educated guess about that one.
Yeah, I would lean to that prop. Again, though, I just haven't seen enough of Gio this year, but I would lean towards the Gio prop if I was going to make a prop. Again, I'm 29 and 26 on the year, but I'm 30 and 26 on the year, I believe. Let me just double check that. Sorry. 30 and 26 on the year, up 0.70 units, but 3 of those losses, I'm 0-3 on props. So I just kind of let them go at this point, which I don't really like, admitting defeat. But that's what I have done so far. Okay, let's keep rolling. That's Browns, Bengals. We are on the 1 o'clock games. Thank you guys for watching us here. Odds headquarters, big Sunday football. Next up is the game of the week. Steelers, Titans. Bebsy comes in at -2 and on the Steelers, and we see a big move towards the Titans, who are now the favorites. This total opened up at Bet365 at 52.5. That's dropped to 51. It's beautiful in Nashville. Well, cloudy, but warm and no wind. 61 Fahrenheit, 2 miles per hour is the wind. AFC's last 2 undefeated teams, 8th time in league history undefeated and untied teams with at least 5 wins have met in the regular season. This is the 5th time in the past 46 seasons. The winner of the last 4 all made the Super Bowl. The Steelers are coming off that 38-7 smash and grab over the Browns. 5-0 for the second time in 87-year history of the black and yellow. They're 4th in the NFL in scoring. We talked all about the loss of Devin Bush on Tuesday. And that with Devin Bush and Taylor Lewin out, it was me sitting back saying, I got to watch this. Shane Schwader says Jimmy Steelers all day. Titans defense is trash. So we're going to have Vince Williams now in a extremely important spot in the defense. Now he's a vet. You're going to have Spillane, who is going to now. So Vince Williams will go in, who's so good at run protection, will now be keeping an eye on the passing, while Spillane is on at run protection. And then we have James Conner coming up back-to-back 100-yard rushing performances. He looks very strong. Steelers are 8-0-1 when he tops 100 yards. Titans coming off that 42-36 overtime win at home over the Texans. 601 yards of total offense. Second in the NFL in scoring at 32.8 points per game. Total yards at 422 points per game. Have scored at least 31 points in 4 straight games. They've scored at least 42 points in back-to-back games for the first time since 61. But they got torched by Deshaun Watson. And they have every player back from the reserve COVID-19 list. So all 13 of the players are back. And that's including Corey Davis and Pruitt. And they even have Adoree Jackson. They're starting quarterback. He's been on that COVID on injured reserve since September 14th. So this is a very healthy Titans squad. Let's start with the Titans offense against the Steelers defense without Devin Bush. Start there, Bebsy.
Well, I see some of the guys in the chat saying a ton of what I already want to say. Dennis Garcia hit the nail on the head. Pittsburgh has a real defense, and Tennessee does not have one. The Tennessee's defense has been rolled over. Pittsburgh defense is very, very adept at stopping the run. I don't think Henry's going to go off for a monster game today. I think he's going to, put up yards because that's what he does. No one can fully shut him down. But I think even without Devin Bush, they are completely able to at least slow down King Henry today. So it's less about that matchup and more about the fact that, look, one team can slow the other team's offense down. I don't think Tennessee has a shot at slowing down the Steelers' defense. That's why even though this is slid in favor of Tennessee, I'm still very happy with this bet.
And a lot of one thing I can't stress enough, and here I am 0-3 on props in NFL, but I use this to my advantage in NBA enormously. Do not take an over prop after a player has a career day, ever, in any sport. Don't do it. If you always took unders after a player had a career day, you'd be making a ton of money. And don't let that bias, that subconscious that's going to hurt your handicapping, get in the way of you making money. We all saw Derrick Henry. We all saw him 94-yard run, 200-plus yards of rushing, and that's all in our head. And don't let that take money out of your pocket. Please don't do it. All righty. I like your breakdown. And I'm going to – this is must-watch football. And you know me, I want to have action so badly. But
I do really think, and we talked about this a lot on Tuesday, because everyone wants to talk about the Devin Bush injury, but not a lot of people are talking about the Taylor Lewan injury. And in my opinion, the Taylor Lewan injury is much more crucial. That's your left tackle. That's the guy protecting Tannehill's blind side. That's the guy busting open holes for Derrick Henry, even though Henry does a pretty good job busting them open himself. I just think that is such a massive, massive injury for this team, because not only is he a great player, but he's a leader, and that team loves that guy. So I don't fully understand the shift to Tennessee being the favorites, other than the excitement over Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and we're sitting here with the Steelers with 74% of the cash, 72% of the tickets, and yet the markets move towards the Titans. And the over this is what, our third game where the over is taking a ton of money, over is taking a ton of tickets, and yet this total has dropped 1.5. If you had a free play on the total, over or under, what would you do, Bebsy?
If I had a free play, I would probably lean over, just because I believe both teams we know both teams are more than capable of putting up points, and especially with that lackluster Tennessee defense.
All right. And Marcus Lee says Steelers haven't beaten anybody that looks like a serious playoff team. Well, we will see today, but I hear what you're saying, Marcus. All righty. So we're going to move on from the battle of the undefeated teams, both 5-0. We move on to Panthers Saints. And what a huge turn of events here for the Saints. Coming in off their bye week, expected to be so dangerous. And now Michael Thomas, who was on schedule to return from the ankle injury and then was benched because he punched somebody in practice. And he's coming back, going to play, and then he has a hamstring injury. Very interesting. And that isn't as bad as Emmanuel Sanders going on COVID-19 after a 122-yard day. I mean, that is going to hurt these Saints. And I immediately jumped on Carolina +7. And I decided not to take that under 50.5, which I guess I could now. It was actually at 50, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to put myself in a situation. But it's at should I be very concerned about my over here, Bebsy?
I think you got to be a little concerned about that. Not having Michael Thomas, they've been managing and figuring it out, and especially with the way Sanders stepped up last week. But not having Sanders as well, my man crush on Sanders. I think he's been exceptional throughout his entire career. I think that's a massive, massive blow. One thing of note is there's a bit of dissension in that Saints locker room overall, and a lot of it has to do with around Michael Thomas. And I read today that they're now calling him "Can't Stand Mike" instead of "Can't Guard Mike" around the Saints locker room, which I think is hilarious, but that does not bode well for the New Orleans Saints. So I like you jumping on the Panthers here, but yeah, I worry. I would worry a little bit about that over now.
And I am concerned. Let's talk a little more about Carolina. 303 yards of offense against the Bears in that 23-16 loss, but 3 for 13 on third down. Just 23 yards on 13 plays inside the 20, 1 TD on 3 trips. Bridgewater doesn't complete a pass in the red zone. So they're now converting just 48% of the trips in the red zone into touchdowns. That's 28th in the league. Robbie Anderson is being spectacular. He's on pace for 1,509 yards. Brian Burns, Derek Brown, their defense is getting stronger and stronger. And then they lose Justin Burris, their safety. They lose Keith Kirkwood, their wide receiver, which isn't that big of a deal. Knowing that the New Orleans don't have anybody to pass to, Breeze has no one to pass to, why didn't you want to jump on the Panthers? Because I sent you a message right when I bet it, and you didn't send me back saying I want in too. Why didn't you want in?
Because this is my only apprehension. 2 reasons. 1, we've talked about this. I'm a coward. 2, the Saints are still the New Orleans Saints. They still have a fantastic football team. If they get it together, there's a chance they could still blow them out. I just think it's too many points to give the Saints. So it's Panthers or nothing for me. And I like the Panthers. I lean the Panthers. I just didn't have the guts to pull the trigger on it.
All right. I feel you. Let's just take a look at what's happening in the betting circles. We have 55% of the cash on the Panthers, 53% on the tickets on the Saints. And for some reason, a ton of money coming in on the over, which very, very, very interesting. Okay, let's keep
catching the ball for them right now. Like, that's my question.
Yeah, I mean, the depth chart is pretty weak when it comes to – I mean, the Kamara's going to – is this a point, speaking of which, is this a spot where we should just take Kamara receiving props?
Yes and no. Yeah, the obvious look is to take Kamara right now, but if they don't have to worry about anybody but Kamara, is Kamara going to struggle today?
No, you're absolutely right.
That other talent opens things up for Kamara. Kamara has space because you have to respect guys like Thomas and Sanders. But as soon as those guys are out, beyond Jared Cook,
it's Marquez Callaway. It's the only other guy.
Is Cook also out?
No, Cook's there.
Okay.
Jared Cook, Marquez Callaway. Huh. And then you got Traquan Smith. All righty.
I like what Black Rogue is saying. Sean Payton, he's the difference. Yeah, Sean Payton is a fantastic coach, and he's very good at scheming guys open. So for that reason, I think they can get Kamara the ball. But, man, you lose 2 superstars with Thomas and Sanders being out, when earlier this week you thought they were in. So that's another factor. Like, if you have game planned all week without them, then sure. But now that they're just out, a couple of days before it, that's tough.
All righty. And Gerald Jones says the Panthers as his dog of the day. All right, let's move on to Bills Jets. And I just have this uncomfortable feeling about this game, and I am using it in my Survivor. I felt like I had to use the Bills. I had a feeling that Darnold would be back this week, and that's why I didn't bet it when you did. Now, if it was Flacco, this would be such an easy, under or Jets team total under, and Bills first half. I mean, I wouldn't have got the 6.5 that you got, certainly, if Flacco was in. But I really like backing a quarterback when he sits on the sidelines for 2 or 3 weeks staring at the offense and what's going wrong, noticing what's going wrong. Now, does he have the weapons to change things around? Probably not. 52 Fahrenheit, chance of showers, 8 miles per hour. Bills on a short week after a disappointing 26-17 loss to the Chiefs. They've lost 2 straight. They were crushed by the Titans and then the Chiefs. Buffalo has allowed 3 of their past 4 opponents to convert 60% of their third down opportunities after not doing so once in the first 3 years under McDermott. They lead the NFL in third down conversions at 56.2%. They're tied for last in the NFL with just 1 rush of 20 or more yards. And they need Matt Milano back so badly. Jets and Bears 24-0 at Miami. They're last in the league with 30.23 conversion rate on third downs. They were just 2 for 17 on third down in that game against the Fish. Now they get Mekhi Becton back after missing 3 games with injured left shoulder. Alex Lewis is doubtful. Jamison Crowder is questionable. Chuma Edoga, their offensive lineman, also questionable. George Fant hurt his knee in practice on Thursday, sat out Friday. He'll be a game-time decision. And then Denzel Mims will be making his NFL debut after sitting out with a hamstring issue since training camp. Joe Yurkovich says Darnold will play, but he's still hurt. Bills will bounce back, but can't mess with a team that hasn't even covered yet. Take it away, Bebsy. Do you have any concern about your Bills first half minus 6.5?
No, I would have concern about Bills first or whole game, but I didn't bet that for a reason. We've seen the Bills jump out, smash teams early, take their foot off the gas. Joe Yurkovich saying Darnold will play, but he's still hurt. Yeah, he's right. Darnold's not 100%. Mekhi Becton's probably not 100%. If Fant plays, he's not at 100%. And they have no weapons. Crowder, I heard earlier this morning, was out, but maybe he's questionable and there's a chance he's playing. But
yeah, no, you're right. Crowder is out. That's being confirmed by AB.
And look, Crowder's their best weapon right now. Who knows what Denzel Mims is going to be? We haven't seen the rookie play yet. I liked him at Baylor, but I don't know. I don't even know if Darnold coming back is that huge of a lift because, quite frankly, he wasn't doing anything before. He flashes, but he doesn't have enough protection. He doesn't have enough talent around him. I like Sam Darnold. I think he could benefit from a fresh start elsewhere. That him coming back doesn't scare me. What scares me is the Bills' inability to close out games that they've been dominating, hence why I grabbed first half. No interest in full game. And I just simply couldn't bet the Bills or the Jets to cover a full game regardless. So Bills first half, the only play for me that's very exciting. I really have to believe this is a bounce back game for the Bills because the Bills, this should be their division this year. I don't know if they're quite there for Super Bowl contention. I feel like there's still a couple of pieces, and they got to get it together. They got to figure out how to win. But this has to be a bounce back against a weak Jets team. It has to be a statement win for the Bills today.
Yeah, and let's see what the market has done here because I would even, and I shouldn't. I mean, it's just not wise. But double digits for the Jets today, I think they can stay within double digits, and I even wonder now with this total at 47, opening at 47 in Bet3, so down to 46 there, 45.5 with other books. I even wonder if the over is actually in play, and I won't do that either. But if we've seen so much of the Jets not putting up any points, we know that the Bills will be able to get theirs against the Jets defense. And we have this bias, this recency bias of the Jets not putting up any points, but with Flacco behind center. I wonder if now that they have Darnold, that this over is a look. What do you think, Bebsy?
I understand your interest in that. I just could not possibly bet a Jets over until I see the Jets put up points consistently.
Terrell Goodman in the house, great to have you. KH says Jets will cover. Black Rogue says the over is a good bet. We have this over. The over is 62% of the money, but a little over 50% of the tickets are on the under. I have some interest in this over. I really do. This Bills defense has not been good. Okay, this may be my first edition. I'm not going to sit here and hum and haw. We'll have time to go over it. Anal says, is it worth covering a shit-the-bed team like the Jets? I don't think so. And Chili Dog Louis says Crowder is out. Penny Bomb says, what makes you think the Jets will score? Who do they have?
I mean, that's my exact argument. Who is scoring points for the Jets? Unless Denzel Mims is legit, unless he's like an absolute stud that's been sitting there waiting in the wings and now he comes out, I just don't know who puts up points for the Jets. I love Frank Gore, but let's face it, Frank Gore is just a steady as she go guys now. He's not going to blow things up. They just don't have the talent, especially with Crowder out.
And Matthew Edwards and others talking about team totals. MHP says Buffalo Bills team total over 13.5 first half. What do you think of a team total for the Bills first half?
Yeah, I like that play. The first half Bills offense, with the exception of one or two games this year, they've been phenomenal. So they're playing an awful Jets football team in a must-win game for them. I really like any play on the Bills first half.
Alrighty. Let's move on to Cowboys Washington. 47 Fahrenheit rain, 7 miles per hour. Cowboys 0-6 against the spread this year. Dallas opens up as 3-point favorites. That goes away fast. Washington Football Club is now a 1-point favorite, or it's a pick 'em, depending on where you shop. This total opened up at 48, all the way down to 45. The Cowboys have won 7 of the past 8 meetings. They're on a short week after that ugly 38-10 loss. They've allowed 218 points. That's the most through 6 games since an AFL team in 61, the most in the NFL since 1954. We have Zeke with fumbleitis. He said that he watched all the videos of his fumbles throughout his NFL career, even back to his high school days. He was watching clips of his fumbles. 5 fumbles in 6 games, 4 lost. Cowboys have the worst turnover margin in the NFL. NFL high 15 giveaways. And Zach Martin expected to be out of the lineup with a concussion. So Cowboys will be missing 4 of their 5 preseason starters on the offensive line. The last man standing is Connor Williams. They're going to be on their 3rd left tackle after Brandon Knight injured a knee against Arizona. Then we have Washington failed to convert that 2-point conversion. Kyle Allen expected to make his 3rd consecutive start, threw for 280 and 2 touchdowns, lost the fumble and threw a pick. They combined for 77 rushing yards against New York. That's just 3.5 yards a rushing play. McLaren, 6+ catches in each of his past 3 games, might be a good look for player props. Offensive lineman, their rookie Sadiq Charles injured his knee, and he's out. And right guard Brandon Scherf did return last week after missing 3 games with a knee injury. Do you agree with this market move towards Washington, Bebsy?
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked a lot about this on Tuesday. You know, Zach Martin still being questionable at the time, him being ruled out. I mean, this is just a disaster spot for Dallas because they're going to need that O-line to protect themselves against. We've talked about a lot is this underrated front 7 from Washington. So Andy Dalton's going to be on his back today. He's going to be running today. It is going to be a very, very difficult day for Dallas up front. And look, they don't have the blocking to free up Zeke, who's, like we said, fumbleitis. So I can't bet on the Washington football team because they're terrible. But I get why the market's moving that way. I like it. If you gave me a free bet, I would take them in a heartbeat without even thinking about it. But look, look, this Dallas team has no defense. Now they have no offense. And they're speaking out about hating their coach already. Like, it's turmoil in Boston or in Dallas right now, and I just can't get behind them.
Yeah, this is a complete stay away game for me. I can understand the market move towards Washington. By the way, our Dutch boy Fresh has his Fresh Props video out. He's on Antonio Gibson over 49.5 rush yards at -106, and Antonio Gibson anytime TD at +125. That's from our Dutch boy Fresh. Check that video out. There's Lily Gunn joining us, half of the Vegas Gun duo. Great to see you, Lily. Thank you for joining us. Big Sunday NFL and no moves for us in Dallas or Washington. Christian Rivas says, if Dallas loses today, can't imagine the media. All right, let's move on to a game that's being talked about a lot here in the chat because no Bakhtiari, no Aaron Jones, and you've doubled up on the Packers, and I've taken the Packers first half and the over 56.5. I was on Houston last week. That kept me from having an 8-2 week. I went 7-3 because they couldn't cover. And not only that, but I spent 10 cents on the +4 instead of 3.5, which is just such a foolish play. And I told myself I'm not going to do that again. No longer will I do that again. Jay says, yo, what up, Jimmy? Did you go over the Atlanta game? Yes. We know there's huge money coming in on the Lions, and we're on the Falcons and going to stick there. Slat says, Bebsy, any concern with these two very important players, Bakhtiari and Adam Jones, out? Why don't we just start there? Does that concern you?
Yes and no. Obviously, you lose players of that caliber, and there has to be some level of concern. However, Green Bay's offensive line has been such a good line with the next man up principle. I think, losing Bakhtiari, of course, that's going to hurt. However, I think they can step up. And it's kind of the same thing with the Jones injury. Yeah, Jones is a stud. He's one of those lesser talked about killer running backs in this league. But I think Dillon can move the ball. I still think they can play well without these guys. Have you seen Dillon's legs? I mean, that guy is an absolute truck. I still like them to be able to move the ball without them, especially against a soft defensive opponent.
Yeah, and it feels like it's going to be a bounce-back spot. Joe Yeager says, I think Aaron Rodgers bounces back, but not the whole team. Texans can score. John Legend loves the Packers -3. Packers coming off that rude awakening, 38-10 at Tampa. They look to avoid losing 2 straight for the first time since Matt LaFleur took over in 2019. That's impressive. They entered Sunday as the first team in league history to score, at least last Sunday, 150 points without committing a turnover in the first 4 games. And, man, that was just they allowed 4 sacks after only 3 in the first 4 games. They haven't forced a turnover in either of their past 2 games. They have just 3 takeaways all season. That's tied for last in the league with Dallas and the Raiders. And Zadarius Smith is playing very, very well. Then we have this Texans team that just can't get stops. 601 yards against them against the Titans. Derrick Henry absolutely destroyed them. They're allowing a season high. After allowing a season high 263 yards last week, they're last in the NFL with 177.5 yards a game allowed on the ground. Watson was excellent, 3 straight 300-yard games. And Fuller caught 6 passes for 123 yards. I am not nearly as comfortable as I was. I'm nervous. Should I be nervous about my over 56.5 in Green Bay? Houston's gone down to 56.
No, I think you should still be happy with that over. Look, both of these teams are more than capable of putting up points. I could really see this end up being a shootout towards the end, but I don't think you should be too concerned about that. I'd still be on the over personally.
And the money and the tickets are on the over. They're also all over the Packers here. Al Cervix says, I'm not fading Watson and Texas, desperate for wins. All righty. We got Big Ragu also in the chat. Great to see you, Ragu. All right, we have up next. Oh, those are the 1 o'clock games. Those are the 1 o'clock games. So let's go over your 1 o'clock action and hear what your best bet is on the 1 o'clock games. Again, Bebsy sitting 24-9 on the year, 72.7%, up 13.5 units, ROI plus 40.91%, average line minus 114, coming off a 2-2 week, down 0.23 units. Bebsy, you have Falcons first half minus a half, Browns minus 3, Steelers minus 2, Buffalo first half minus 6.5, and you have the double dip on Green Bay first half minus 2.5, full game minus 3.5. What is your 1 o'clock best bet?
I mean, it's hard not to just love that Atlanta minus a half first half. I really love a healthy Atlanta offense putting up points, and that's what we're getting today. So that's my best bet for the for the 1 o'clock games.
Best bet, Falcons first half minus a half.
Yes, sir.
All righty. There is the best bet from our Bebsy. And I have all this action, and yet I have very little on the 1 o'clock games. They mostly come after. And I have to admit that all this money coming in on the Lions has scared me. But the way I see it, I think that Atlanta, with Julio Jones healthy and ready to rock, and Calvin Ridley and this team with the 1-0 mentality is going to roll. But because of all this money on the Lions, I'm a little nervous, and I guess it moves me to the Panthers plus 7. Panthers plus 7. So let's just go back quickly to the Detroit Atlanta game. If Detroit can't stop Atlanta and Detroit has to, dominate through the air to fight fire with fire, isn't this over going to be in play?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. What's the over at right now?
It's open at 56.5. It's now down to 55.5 or 55.
I get the logic. It's a lot of points. Just can they keep up? That's my question. I love a healthy Julio and Ridley rolling into this game. And you said it before, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but Gurley's looking like the old Gurley right now.
He sure is. He sure is. Well, the only possible addition I was thinking of is the Bills-Jets. And do I really want to, with all this money invested in this day-to-day, do I really want to add that to the card? I'm not sure. All right, let's move past the 1 o'clock games. Let's head over to the 4:05 games right now. And we start with a beauty and a game that I've become quite nervous about. Sorry, I just got pages and pages of notes here. And, it's that Bills over. Do I move on that? Questionable. Okay, Bebsy, let's attack the afternoon game, starting with that 4:05 spot. Seahawks, Cardinals. And there's Niners, Patriots. I can't wait to get to that game. Sorry, I went past my notes. Let's see what we're talking about here with Seahawks, Cardinals. Oh, it switched from the 4:05. Exactly. Sorry. So Seattle opening up at minus 3.5, and it went down to minus 3, and those are gone. That's a good sign. If you want the 3, you have to pay minus 130 in juice. This total has dropped from 56 to 54.5. We'll take a look at where the money is going in this spot, but that is a relief, a real relief to see that that's happening. Let's talk about the Seahawks fresh off their bye week, 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. DK Metcalf leads the NFL in averaging 22.5 yards per catch. Wilson has 19 touchdowns through 5 games. This Seattle passing defense is last in the NFL, 370.4 yards a game. Last in total defense, 471.2 yards a game. Tied for 18th in scoring defense and 7th in rush defense. Jamal Adams, they're hoping to have Adams back in the defensive backfield. They're hoping to have him back. Lano Hill, injured reserve, won't be back. And then Cardinals coming off easy 38-10 win over Dallas. Their rushing game as being very good. And that's the only thing that Seattle's good at defensively. And that was part of the reason that we pulled the trigger on the Seahawks coming in off the bye. Cardinals giving up 18.7 points per game, second best in the NFL. Seahawks are allowing 33.8 points per game. Still, the question's out about the replacement for Chandler Jones. Hassan Reddick has looked very good. Gardeck's looked okay. But that's going to be tougher and tougher as games go on. Banjo, Hicks, Kennard, all battling injuries, are still playing quite well. I'm relieved to see it back to 3.5. I was nervous that there were threes on the board. How do you feel about your look on the Seahawks at minus 3.5?
I still like. Well, first of all, this game has been flexed to the Sunday nighter. This is an 8:00 game tonight, but
okay.
you know what? We're balls deep in it, so let's go. Yeah. I still like my play for the sole reason I think both of these teams are overrated. I don't think Seattle's offense is overrated. Their defense is just atrocious, though. Even with Adams in the lineup, look, Adams is I'm not calling him a box safety because I believe he can cover as well. But that is his strength. It doesn't help them enough. I still can't believe they gave up 2 first-round picks for a safety. That's wild, even as good as he's been. That's a conversation for another day. I just think that Arizona, they're hyped in this game because they just pounded Dallas. Well, Dallas is injured, and they weren't very good to begin with. So it's just too enticing for me to take this Seattle team right now. They're 5-0. They're just not. They're just not going to lose to this Arizona team. They are just so much better offensively. And look, Arizona's still figuring it out. They're a better team than they were last year. They're not a great team. They're getting massive hype that is undeserved. So it's still very comfortable with this Seattle play here.
Seattle taking the money, almost 3/4 of it right now. And this over is being attacked.
I think the over hits. I really do. Horrible defense, Seattle. Incredible offense. Both teams should be able to put up a ton of points.
This is so interesting. So how many games? This is the 4th game now where the betting public's all over the over, yet it drops 1.5. These are very, very, very interesting market moves. Mally Mal says the Seattle defense is suspect. No doubt about it. I'd be concerned going against these spots where the books are begging you to bet the over. And that's what happens here. Joe Yurkovich says, I hate backing teams who are rolling, and then they come in after a bye. I can completely understand that.
Yeah, I mean, that burned us last week with Green Bay, but I think Russell Wilson wants that MVP so bad, and he's playing like it. He looks incredible, and he finally has some help. For the first time in years, he finally has some help. So I love that offense to keep rolling, and I love that defense to continue to be terrible. The thing is, everyone's hyping Seattle because they haven't had to play a team that is balanced yet, and they're still not this week. Arizona closer to a balanced team than what they faced, but the Cards without Chandler Jones on defense is so much at a disadvantage, especially against a team with a quarterback like Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and that was the first time we'd been on other sides of each other. I was on the Bucs money line last week, but I just feel like that was a different spot. And you're talking about Russell Wilson and how much he has to prove, and this is a divisional battle, very different than the Packers heading down to Tampa. But I hear you. All right, in my fault for slipping us up in order. Let's go back. So that switched with this Raiders game. The Raiders were supposed to be the big spotlight game, and that was moved to Seattle, Arizona. Let's talk about this Raiders spot. And to start, you have to talk about the Raiders getting all 4 starting offensive linemen activated from the COVID list. So that was the biggest part in this game. Tampa opens up -3. They move to -4, and I wonder if the market hasn't corrected itself. I really do. now that all these guys are back, Colton Miller, Denzel Good, Rodney Hudson, and Gabe Jackson are all back. And now we're getting a +4 for the Raiders. Dennis Garcia made a really nice point on our Tuesday show. We have this Buccaneers team that played perfect football last week. No penalties, no turnovers, no sacks allowed. I mean, is this a spot now where the Raiders at +4 is a move that should be made, Bebsy?
Yeah, I kind of think there's some value here, and a lot of it having to do with exactly what you just said, that Tampa played a perfect game last week. The most penalized team in the NFL didn't get a single penalty last week, and they're still the most penalized team in the NFL. That tells you just how bad they have been playing with regards to discipline and how much better they played in 1 week. I said Tuesday this is a no play for me. I can't see a window either way that I really like. So I'm off it. I don't know how much value Vegas has. I'm just not. I don't know. It's just nothing too appealing to me. I couldn't for the life of me, even if you put a gun to my head, I'd be like, pull the trigger. I have no idea. I got no play here. Still all week, nothing. Regardless of the O-line coming back, I can't do it, Jimmy.
I have to feel like there's value on the Raiders here at +4 coming off their bye week. Okay, so let me ask you, what do you believe in more? The Buccaneers that you saw destroying the Packers, or the Raiders that you saw handing the Chiefs a pretty comfortable loss? I mean, the Raiders were down 21-10, and then just scoring drive, and completely shutting down the Chiefs. Their defensive front four was able to just push the Chiefs offensive line anywhere they wanted. What do you trust more, the way the Bucs looked last week or the way the Raiders looked 2 weeks ago?
Neither, because I think both games, regarding to that team, was a bit of an anomaly. I think the Raiders caught the Chiefs napping a little bit. I think the Green Bay coming out of the bye hurt them a little bit because they were so hot, because they were rolling it. The bye cooled them off. And I think Tampa played an uncharacteristically overly disciplined game. They were phenomenal in that game. I don't think either of those things is going to happen again. Look, the Bucs, we know, at least I think I know, is a better football team top to bottom than the Raiders are right now. But at 4 points, I just can't get excited about that play.
I think this is a spot where all the betting public is only thinking of the Bucs completely destroying the Packers. And then you have this.
Oh, there's some recency bias for sure. I mean, you look at that game where the Bucs destroy a team that everybody was high on, and so I get the excitement to look the other way on that. But the Bucs are a good football team. They have a ton of talent. They're still kind of getting it together, but
everybody is on the Bucs in the chat. Everybody except for Big Ragoo's leaning towards the other way. Look, this isn't just to be on the other side. I really think at this point, getting 4 points with the Raiders off of a bye is, after the Buccaneers play perfect football.
I also wonder how well the Bucs will defend Josh Jacobs without Vita Vea in the lineup. They still have Sue. They still have Devin White, who is incredible, but Josh Jacobs can ball. So that's tough to lose a guy like Vita Vea and come up against a phenomenal running back in Josh Jacobs.
All right, we have guys coming in with the Raiders now. Sorry, I missed the Canadian Capper was on them. John Ryan is on the Raiders. Nuke Worker Raiders money line. Dennis Garcia leaning Vegas. Jordy on the Raiders. Look, I think that it shouldn't be a +4 spot. It just shouldn't be a +4 spot. I mean, that's saying that at a neutral site game, the Buccaneers would be 7-point favorites. Right? I mean, do you think in a neutral site game, the Bucs would be 7-point favorites here?
No, I don't think so.
So, all right, I'm in. Raiders +4. I'm moving on the Raiders +4. Birdie says the Raiders O-line is not practiced in 3 weeks. Have they been eating? And that's all we care about. They've been eating cake. If they've been eating cake, get out there.
Are they rested? Yes.
Yeah. When you have a veteran group, I don't necessarily need them to be. But I hear what you're saying. All right. I'm moving on to Raiders +4. I think this is a very possibly. It comes down to this: would you put in a neutral site game? Would the Bucs be 7-point favorites? And they're not. It's just that simple for me. All right, so let's move on to the 4:25 games right now. And do we start? We start with a couple of beauties here. We're going to start with this Broncos, and this was probably the best move I've made all year. It was very simple. We just knew that everybody would take a look at the weather, and then I would get to bet a middle if I wanted. And I haven't pulled the trigger on the middle. But I took the under 48 after the show Tuesday in Chiefs Broncos. 19 Fahrenheit snow, 10 miles per hour is the wind. And I have a few hours to decide if I want to bet a middle. I guess it maybe will depend on how I do in these 1 o'clock games. Under 48, it's now at 44. Kansas City opens up at -9. That's down to -7. Chiefs are dealing with a short week. As we saw, they ran heavy against the Bills, 46 times for 245 yards. Last December, snowy afternoon in Kansas City, 23-3 win for the Chiefs. Le'Veon Bell will be in the lineup. And after having no ability to shut down Derek Carr, the Chiefs completely shut down Josh Allen. The offensive line looked much stronger, and they made a bunch of changes. And we talked about it on Tuesday. Kilgore replacing Ryder at center. Remmers moving over to right tackle, and Allegretti replacing Osemele. And then Mitchell Schwartz missed the game with a back injury. I mean, he had that huge long streak. Now we have Drew Lock in the snow. I mean, McManus was all of their points in that win over the Patriots. Shout out to our John Ryan, who said take the Broncos money line last week. I was on them from the previous Tuesday at +10, so it was a very comfortable spot. 17-day layoff, and they win without Melvin Gordon, without Noah Fant. They're both listed as questionable. Philip Lindsay was awesome. Here are the updates. KJ Hamler is there's a chance he could play. He's limited in practice. Deontay Spencer, their wide receiver and kick returner, out still. They haven't been practicing, and off guard Dalton Risner didn't practice, but Noah Fant, full practice. He is ready to go. What do you think here, Bebsy? Chiefs, Broncos. Do you think I should maybe think about a middle here? Do you think there could still be points? And what do you think of this market going from 9 to 7 on the Chiefs?
I mean, is this market move strictly having to do with Drew Lock coming in? I'm not so sure. Like, I'm still looking at both of these teams as the Super Bowl champs versus a not good football team. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say they're bad. They're not good. They are getting some pieces back, which I think is important. But I'm leaning KC in this one. I'm not, because of where they're playing, I'm not going to jump on this. But I feel like this moving down to 7 is a play on the Chiefs.
Yeah, let's see where the money is going here. Play on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are. This is one of those special situations for gamblers where the Chiefs are taking all the money. No, well, 3/4 of the money, and then all the tickets, and the market's moving towards the Broncos. I mean, wow.
To me, I feel like a lot of people are overthinking this and talking about weather and talking about Mile High and this and that. And I mean, if you really just break it down, one team is exceptionally better than the other team. There's my analysis. Like I'm scratching my head as to why it's come down so much.
So is this a possible addition for you then? Chiefs -7. Do you want me to leave a question mark and we'll return to it?
Yeah, I'll think about it. I wonder if a lot of this has to do with them beating the Pats last week. I can't wrap my head around why this has come down to 7. The Chiefs are a phenomenal football team. They're the best team in the NFL. And they're playing an okay Broncos team. Like this, I don't get it. I really think everyone's just overthinking this, and this feels like a Chiefs easy bet here.
Yeah, Birdie says, I bet Chiefs -7. They hammered the Broncos last year in the snow. Why would they be any different this time?
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the snow. Doesn't mean anything. Both teams have to play in the snow. It's not like Jacksonville versus Green Bay in December right now. Like these are two teams that know how to play in the snow.
All righty. A possible addition for Bebsy, and I've got that under 48 from Tuesday. And I may go for a middle. I'm not entirely sure at this point. All righty, let's move on to Niners Patriots. This was a spot where Bebsy and I both moved on the Patriots, waiting to get injury information. And I even said at the time, I was like, I think we could get a -2 or -1.5 at some point. And Bebsy said, what happens when the Niners release their injury news, and when will they do that? Because at that point, everybody will get on the Patriots. It's now -3, so I'm happy that we got in at the 2.5 when we did. Then this total, I took under 44.5. At one point, it looked like that was the move to make, but this total is rising, and the leading indicator books have it going up. So this never got below 44 at most books, but it's up to 45.5 in the last 30, 40 minutes. Which is interesting. And maybe that's due to the weather. It's nice in Foxborough. 52 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 6 miles per hour. Niners coming off that big 24-16 win at home over the Rams. Jimmy G looked really good, 268 yards. But we talked about this on Tuesday. One of Jimmy G's completions came out in the pass that was throwing at least 15 yards downfield. So this year he's 15 yards downfield, 4 for 15, 104 yards, no TDs, 2 picks, league worst 16.4 passer rating. Kittle's looked great, 30 catches, 380 yards. The Niners offensive line was much stronger, and Aaron Donald had his worst game of the year. Now, we talked about the injuries with Tart. We talked about Ward also getting hurt in practice. They've been without Richard Sherman since week 1. Kwan Williams on injured reserve. Mosley, Witherspoon, Dante Johnson have all been in and out of the lineup. No Raheem Mostert, no Quan Alexander. And from the running back spot with Mostert, they already don't have Tevin Coleman, so it's McKinnon and JaMychal Hasty. We don't know about Trent Williams. Jeff Wilson also questionable. So a ton of injuries. Could you give us a Niners injury update?
Well, look, 8 of their 11 week 1 starters are out. They have almost nobody healthy in the secondary. I think Jonathan Cyprien has come off the practice squad to play today. Marcel Harris and Tavarius Moore are going to be their safeties. There's just so many injuries on this 49ers defense, and somehow they're still a top 5 defense overall. It's remarkable. And then on the offensive side of the ball, look, I said this last week when they were up, Raheem Mostert went down. I was like, they're going to struggle for the rest of this game. They put up 3 points for the rest of the game. They are not the same without Raheem. They have lost their backup starting center. There's just so many injuries. And for the Niners to go into Foxborough, face Belichick coming off an embarrassing loss, it's too difficult of a spot for the 49ers. I would be amazed if they win and, tip the cap to Shanahan and Saleh if they can in this one. But this is such a difficult spot for the Niners, and for that reason, I have to back the Pats.
Yeah, I think this is a great spot, an absolutely great spot to back the Pats. A lot of great notes here from the chat. Birdie says Pats getting 2 linemen back is huge, especially their center. I agree with Bebsy on this one. Penny Bomb says Pats relish having a practice week. Everything normal routine. Pats are ready to go today. This is a great spot, a really good spot backing the Patriots here. We both did. We got the 2.5, and I'm on the under. Dennis Garcia and I have been under the idea that the Patriots were going to be this beautiful under team for us all year, and that's why I'm a little surprised that it's going over. And the only reason why I think it's starting to be bet towards the over is because of the 49ers. What do you think of this total, Bebsy? It's now up to 45 or 45.5.
Well, look, the 49ers defense, in spite of all the injuries, have still managed to keep teams in check, with the exception of that debacle in Miami. Offensively speaking, for the 49ers, they're going to struggle to move the ball without Mostert, unless JaMychal Hasty is the guy that we've seen in flashes. He does look pretty sensational, but we've seen him in such limited action. So I don't know what he's going to be like with a more focused role. I think he ends up getting a ton of carries this week, but I lean under in this one. I'm surprised it's going up. Maybe that has something to do with both Ward and Tart being out, but I lean under. It's tough. I think overs and unders are so difficult right now just because of the rash of injuries throughout the entire league. So, yeah, lean under. Don't fully understand why it's going up, but for me, the play is the Pats here, like the under.
Alrighty. I like it. I've been saying already too much. I don't know what the hell I'm turning into a...
Yes, Kittle is healthy. Jesse's girls asked a couple times now.
Yes, my fault.
Fully healthy and rolling.
Yeah, looking good. Let's move on to Jaguars Chargers, and look, I went big on this game. I doubled up on the Chargers, and I should have waited. Oh, I guess not. Wow, 7.5s are back. Okay, that makes me feel good. Went down to 7, and I was like, this total hasn't moved all week. I'm on the under. A lot of cappers looked at my card, and they were like, I like your card, but I'm very uncomfortable with your under here. And then the idea for me is, who is going to dictate pace in this game? And I believe it will be the Chargers. And now we've got a situation with this Jags team that's ruled out Miles Jack. They've ruled out safety Jared Wilson. They placed Avery Jones on injured reserve. This is a beat-up squad. So they'll have Dakota Allen and Brandon Watson, second-year players, starting to place with Jack and Wilson. Devon Hamilton will probably do a better job filling in for Jones because this is the second week. Tyler Eifert ruled out. A right guard, A.J. Cann, questionable. Josh Allen will be back, which will help them enormously. But I see this as a beat-up Jag squad. and the Chargers team that just don't push the envelope. And when we see Anthony Lynn get a lead, he becomes conservative. And Herbert has been in control, not taking risks, big risks downfield. And I expect them to roll. Eckler's on injured reserve, and Justin Jackson started out really strong, replacing him, but they need more out of Kelly and Jackson. They're averaging 2.9 yards per carry the past 2 games. They've had 8 carries go for no gain or negative yards. So I doubled up on the Chargers, and I'm on the under. Cash Action Bets is on Chargers and under. MMA Locker Room on Shark over 3.5 receptions. Milo says Jacksonville not covering. Bebsy, how do you feel about your look on the Chargers first half, and what do you think of my double up on the Chargers? And talk to us a little bit about the total.
I still love the Chargers first half in this. I really just think they're a much better team. And with what you said with regards to Anthony Lynn, they have the talent to get up big, but he takes his foot off the gas. He plays too conservatively. And we all know Minshew is more than capable of a backdoor cover. So I worried about the full game. I think you're probably going to be okay. I really feel like Justin Herbert has played phenomenal, and they haven't been able to win. And I think this is the week that they get that win. I do worry a little bit about the ability to get backdoor covers from the Jags. And just like you said, Anthony Lynn taking his foot off the gas. Now, the total for me has everything to do with the Jags being able to put up points in the second half. So I love that first half play. I think it wasn't even my idea. It was somebody in the chat who was like, what do you think of the first half? And I loved it. I still love it. It's one of my more favorite plays of this week. It's just the full game scares me a little bit with, what I've said before with Minshew. When he's a dog, he shows up. So I get why you're on it. I like that you're on it. Logically, it makes sense that you're on it. There's something that scares me off of that. Well, there's not something. It's Minshew that scares me off of that. But first half, -4, love it.
Those are the afternoon games. We already talked about the Sunday nighter that started this afternoon look, and that was my fault for not being in the right order. Let's go through the afternoon games and include the Sunday nighter. What is your best bet with just the afternoon games and the Sunday nighter? Let me just review your action here and tell you what you are picking between. You are choosing between Seattle -3.5 full game, Patriots -2.5, or Chargers first half -4.
It's a toss-up between the Pats -2.5 and the Chargers -4, but I think I got to lean Chargers here.
Leaning to Chargers first half -4. So Bebsy's best bet in the morning slate, the 1 o'clock slate, afternoon or early afternoon, is Atlanta first half -0.5, and in the late games it's Chargers first half -4. For me, clearly, I guess I got to take KC, Denver under 48. But truthfully, that's not my favorite spot is the Pats -2.5.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense.
Yeah, and I like that even better than the 4-point move I've secured on KC, Denver. Pats -2.5, getting it before the 3.
I think I'm also going to go ahead and add the Chiefs -7 to my card. It's just I can't. I've been racking my brain trying to think of why they shouldn't roll in this one, and I don't have an answer.
All right, and this is the first time all season that Bebsy has added a play on our Sunday show.
You know me, I would think I'm on Tuesday and leave it alone the rest of the week. But I was tempted to play them at -10 at one point, like down to 7.
Bebsy's been very strict on what he adds, and it's been nothing. -7. All right, let's go to odds.com and line shop for Bebsy at the licensed books here and see what we are going to give them. I did add the Raiders +4, and I do not want to sit here sweating buckets over that over in the Bills-Jets game, so I'm not going to add that. All right, let's see what we can get, Bebsy. Full game on the Chiefs at the licensed American books. We can offer you, wow, some of them have moved to 7.5 again. -7 and -110 at DraftKings. Oh, no. Bet Rivers is giving you the -107. Perfect. Bet Rivers, -7, -107. Does that work?
Oh, I love me some Bet Rivers.
All righty. Lock that in for our Bebsy first edition on the card. -7 and -107 at Bet Rivers. All righty. Birdie's best bet, Tennessee money line and Seattle -3.5. Gary Wide says, what's the weather in the KC game? 12 Fahrenheit, light snow, and the wind is, I think it was just popped up here between 7 and 10 miles per hour. And Mike saying that everything is -107 today at Bet Rivers. Oh, here, I have it here. Sorry, I have the weather in front of you now. I did pull this weather up. Oh, no, I just did it just recently. 10 miles per hour, I have the wind at. All righty, let's keep rolling now. We get to the Monday Nighter. Let's attack. And we've made no moves at this point either. Oh, no, sorry, I have hammered this. Bebsy's made no moves on the Monday Nighter, but I did attack it. And it was a really fun breakdown on this Monday Nighter. I enjoyed it immensely, and it was at first I was going to take the Bears plus the points, and the more we talked about it, the more I thought, how are the Bears going to score? Rams opened up at -6.5. They went down to -5.5. They're back at 6. This total opened up at 47. It's now at 45, although there are a couple 44.5s. It's going to be nice in LA, a little chilly as it gets cold when the sun goes down in LA. 63 Fahrenheit, clear, 3 miles per hour. I took the under 45. I also took the Bears team total under 19.5. The Bears 5-0 against the NFC, 3-0 on the road for the first time since they won the Super Bowl in 2006, coming off that 23-16 win at Carolina. The defense looks very strong, but the offense looks so weak. Bears got 63 yards on the ground against the Panthers' terrible run defense. They have 126 yards rushing over the past 3 games. They lose James Daniels to a season-ending pectoral injury, their left guard. I don't trust Foles to put up a ton of yards because I see this as a very easy team to defend. If you only need to have 4 on the pass rush or run defense, then you can always have 7 guys back. And I just don't see how the Bears are going to beat you. Cash Action says Bears and over. Dennis Garcia is Chicago +6 and under. Zamora says Chicago easy look. All the teams the Rams have won are similar. Rams coming off that disappointing 24-16 loss at San Fran. They got just 102 yards of offense in the first half. Henderson looks very good. He's averaging 4.8 yards per carry, ranking him in the top 10 in the NFL. Donald coming off a terrible game. You expect him to bounce back. This defensive line was so good against the run against the Niners. I expect him to be good here. And I like where I stand. Bebsy, any change of feeling for the Monday Nighter? You haven't made a move at this point.
No, and I'm still not interested in making a move. There's just too much uncertainty about both teams here. I don't know what I think of either of them yet. The only thing I'm certain of is that the Bears have a good defense and a bad offense. I don't know anything about the Rams. Some weeks they're good, some weeks they're bad. They should have beat San Francisco last week just, again, due to injuries. They lost. It was, it would have been uglier if Mostert didn't go down. So both of these teams, I think, are very unpredictable. I get the logic behind what you've done. There's still just no play for me. There's nothing that jumps out.
Yeah, I think the Rams are too big of a favorite here to really want to support them. The only thing that I can support here is that I don't see the Bears putting up 20 points. So that's my bet here. If the Bears don't put up 20 points, I expect to cash the team total. I'll obviously cash the team total under, but I'll also expect to cash the under 45. And I think this will be a real defensive battle. And I love watching those games. Cash action, though, sees it. 85% of cash on the under, 78% of tickets on the under, lean over in Bears. And cash action, we know that'll change. The public's going to want the over on a Monday night. But so if that does change, then I will be comfortable. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the markets. Black Rogue says Foles did win a Super Bowl, guys. Just saying. There you have it. There is the entire football slate for Sunday and Monday. We have 2 additions, just 2. Bebsy's added Chiefs -7. I've added Raiders +4. And the only other thing I could add is the Bills-Jets over. And we have – let me just look at that one more time. Take a look at that one more time. Is there anything else you're thinking of adding, Bebsy, or does that put a bow on your card?
Yeah, that's all for me. We can go ahead and tie up that bow.
Alrighty. I'm just going to take one last look at this. If you had a free play on this Bills-Jets total at 46, what would you do?
If I had a free play on it, I still got to go under just because I don't see the Jets putting up any points.
All righty. Let's go review quickly all of our action. Thank you, Black Rogue. Much love. Yes, and join our Tuesday show. That's where we're really beating market moves generally. But Bebsy's having a hell of a season. 24-9, 72.7%, plus 13.5 units. I'm 30-26, 53.6%, plus 0.70 units. ROI just 1.25%. Those player props have hurt me. Okay, so Bebsy, Atlanta first half -0.5. Browns -3, Steelers -2, Buffalo first half -6.5, Packers double up -2.5, first half -3.5, full game, Seattle -3.5 at +100, Patriots -2.5 at -106, Chargers first half -4, and then you add the Chiefs -7. What is your single best bet on your entire card?
I think it's still got to be Atlanta. I really like their ability to come out strong in this one, and first half. -0.5 is just it's just too easy a play. I mean, I just see them coming out hot this week, so I like that one a lot. I'm on the Steelers as well at -2, so if you could grab the Steelers at +1, I'd jump on it. Like that's a market move I wish I would have waited for. Didn't see it coming, so hop on that as well. I think the Steelers top to bottom are a better football team, so jump on that if you haven't already.
I would say my best bet on the entire card is Patriots -2.5.
Yeah, I like that play a lot too. It's just too tough a spot for San Francisco.
That's my favorite play on the entire card. Can't wait to see where we stand on Tuesday. You guys got to join us 8 p.m. Eastern. It is extremely enjoyable. But we have no show without these great cappers in the chat. Now you have 30 minutes to make yourself a sandwich. Make sure the beer is cold and get ready for a big day of football. Big shout out to Slats45, Lance LaRose, AB, Matthew Edwards, Robert Cherry, Mike Doors, and .com. Mr. Not Applicable, Cash Action Bets, Top Set. Raider Jake, because you talked me into Chiefs -7. So you talked Raider Jake into the Chiefs -7. We got Swervin. It's on the Jets under and the Lions over. There is Birdie, my man Dennis Garcia. Hector Smith has a massive parlay bet, needs one leg to come home. Saints straight up, Panthers +11. Oh, I mean, getting Panthers at that number, pushing it to 11 is great. I love it. That's my I like that better than Saints straight up.
Absolutely.
Not Applicable, Black Rogue, Zamora, Jordy Nordman, Prince of the City says stop with Foles, Dragon Smoke. Thank you guys. Let's keep running. Let's keep cashing. Bebsy, any last words?
Just a quick thank you.